Welcome to our doers. At Stealthy Wood, we use vans and trucks to deliver our furniture, and keeping a close eye on our fleet is very important to avoid slowing down our flow. At the same time, we need to keep track of the company cars we offer to each employee. Poor fleet management means high costs for the company, and we certainly don't want that. Thanks to Odoo's Fleet app, we can keep a close eye on our fleet in a few simple clicks. We're able to manage everything through a user-friendly administrative system, fuel log entries, costs, and many other features necessary for the management of our company's vehicles. So let's see how to use the fleet application in Odoo to improve the management of our fleet. All right, here I am on my database. Let's go ahead and check out the fleet application. So once I'm on the Fleet app, I'm first going to have a dashboard overview of all of my vehicles, which is really nice because I can quickly manage my vehicles from this page in just a couple of clicks. So for example, if I choose my vehicle, the Opel Astra, in just one click, I have a lot of information or all the information I need about this vehicle. So first of all, on the main page, I'm going to have the driver information, the contract is associated with the engine, the model, and the other details about the vehicle, such as the last odometer count, the vehicle identification number, and more. Okay, so we have a lot of important information here, but of course there are other things we need to know as well, such as how much fuel we're using, when it was last serviced, and all of that we can also keep track of from 1 or 2 clicks from this page. We have all of these smart buttons at the top right here, which are super convenient. So first of all, we have the driver's history. It is important to know who has been driving this vehicle. And something that's really cool is if I edit this vehicle and I change the driver from here, so let's go ahead and say Adrian is actually going to drive this car, and I click on save, we see that the driver history is updated immediately. And then we can click here and we can see who has driven the car, who specifically. So that's really nice, and from which dates as well. And then on the right, we have a smart button to access all of the contracts that are associated with this vehicle. I'm actually going to talk about that in another video, so I'm going to skip it for now. But if you're interested, be sure you check out that other video. Okay. And then we have the details of some costs for this vehicle. So there could be various costs. So for example, for leasing or refueling or maintenance. Okay, so we have all of those repair logs here for the specific vehicle. And then the same cost logs, sorry, not repair logs. But then if we go to the next smart button, we have the service logs, which gives us the information about the last time it was maintenance. Okay, so that's really important as well. Okay, then we move on and we are able to see our fuel logs. So every time we have added gas to the car, we'll see how many liters, the total price, and we can also keep track of the kilometers as well. So how many kilometers were on the car at the moment that we added the gas. All right. So then lastly, we can keep track of the odometer because of course we want to know how many kilometers we're putting on the car. It's also very, very important, and we can add the date. And what's cool about these smart buttons is of course we can always keep track of the main list for all of our vehicles of each of these individual things, each of these individual logs. But for this specific vehicle, I can go ahead and create a new log just by clicking on the smart button and then going to create, and right away I have a draft log for my fuel. Okay, and I can do that for any of the smart buttons, which is really convenient. But of course, I can create logs by going to vehicles and choosing any of these options as well. So the fuel logs, contracts, costs, odometer, and more. So you really can access a lot of information from this one little page, and it seems like a lot, but it's so important to have all of these details in order to properly manage your fleet and your vehicles. Okay. So something else that's cool before we move on from this page, and I know I've said a lot, but there's still some things you can do. If we scroll down to the bottom, we're going to be able to quickly log notes or even schedule activities for ourselves so we can still keep track of everything on the specific vehicle. So, for example, I could make an activity type, which I incorrectly spelled, but we can make an activity type to do, assign it to myself, and I can say schedule next repair. Okay, and then I can click on schedule. All right, and I know that I have to do that for myself. I also know that I was the person who changed the last driver from Mark Demo to Adrian. Okay, so I can keep track of these details as well from the chatter, which is super cool. All right, but now that we've seen all of these possibilities on the vehicle form, and there are many, let's go back to the dashboard. Something I want to point out here is that I have a few warning triangles. Okay, so I have one in red and one in orange. So these are actually really convenient because it will give me some information about the contracts associated with the vehicle. So actually, if the triangle, if the warning message is in red, that means that the renewal is overdue for the contract, saying, okay, we're past the point where we needed to renew this contract, so be careful. And orange means that it will need to be renewed soon, okay? And if you hover over these little warning triangles, you're going to have that small definition. All right, now let's go to configuration and see how we can actually create some of these types. So first of all, we have our car manufacturers. So I have a pretty extensive list here. As you can see, I have 66 car manufacturers, okay, many that I'm sure you all know. But if you want to create a new one, you simply have to click on create. You type the name of the make, and you can add an image for that as well. Then we also have the option to add service types. So when our employees are creating service logs, they can simply choose one of these types. So for example, we have AC replacement, air filter replacement, car wash, oil change, things like that. All of the services that are needed for the vehicles, we can add them here. And you just click on create and add the service. And it's as simple as that. And we can do the same with contract types. So you might have a couple of different kinds of leasing types. So maybe internal or external. You can add those types here as well. Okay, and then we have our vehicle status. So right now I have new, requested, ordered, registered, downgraded, reserved, and waiting lists. What the status is that you have, it really depends on your fleet management needs, but you can add those here. And again, simply click on create. So it's quite simple, super easy to use. Then, of course, we have our vehicle tags as well, which will help us quickly search through our vehicles or find the best vehicles for certain employees. And when we create a vehicle, we can also add those tags on the fly or create them on the fly. So you don't have to first create them here. You can create them when you're on the vehicle itself. All right, so now that we've looked at what we can do here, we're going to go to the settings. And from the settings page, we can actually set a couple of things as well. So first of all, we can set the end date contract alert. So I want to know I want to know 30 days before a contract ends that it will end. Okay, so I want to be warned beforehand so I can remember to renew a contract. Okay, and then we can also say that an employee cannot request a new car if we already have a certain amount available for them. Okay, so right here it says 1,000. That's quite a lot. But you could say like, I don't want an employee to request a new car if we already have 15 cars on the lot that are waiting to be driven. Okay, so you do have that option there. Let's go back to the dash. That was the basics of the fleet application. That's how to get set up. So as you can see, it's quite simple. To create a new vehicle, you just click on the create button. If you want to log anything, you can log all of the information here, you or your employees. So it's really, really easy and convenient to use. So definitely take advantage of this feature and be sure you check out our other fleet-related videos as well. That's all for this one. Thank you for watching, and if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.